The most important weapon in the fight against human rights violation is actually transparency, documentation, collaboration across sectors at various levels of the institution. It's also a moral agenda because we need to refocus on what we really value. And from those kind of important principles, we need to look at the recognition and the discernment of practices that might be against basic as well as specific human rights. I myself have been engaged both in the documentation as international human rights observers as well as in the work of local community organizations like the Fray Bartolomé de las Casas Human Rights Centers in Chiapas, which is probably one of the best expression of centers that they bring together the voices and the rights of indigenous people, but also the possibility to make important, sustainable, and systemic changes. And I remember that one of the most powerful weapons when we were conducting this kind of assessment was certainly our presence as international observers, so that we were preventing further abuses by paramilitary groups and by other groups who might, fight against each other. And we were using actually, beside our pen and pencils and paper, also our camera and video cameras. Programs like Chiapa Media Project, for instance, or other initiatives that have been geared toward empowering indigenous communities in using technology, video technology and the camera, etc., has been a way to actually prevent violations of human rights. So these kind of tools have been important, but along with others, like the fact that the so-called this boomerang level of seeking justice. For instance, if something happened among an indigenous community in Mexico, usually to present this situation of violation of human rights to the government, most of the time is responded by a buffering situation by the government that does not follow up with the appropriate procedure. So another way is to actually document that internationally through the use and the documentation done by various agencies and organizations on human rights, as well as individuals who might be there and document those violations, who they can report themselves through their own original government if they're foreigners, and help this government actually to pressure indirectly that government or agencies at the local level through the fact that they have some economic agreement, political agreements, as certainly they might have obeyed to some other important constitutions and documentations. In this triangulation or this boomerang level of process for having more human rights respected, there are various organizations and levels of organization that play a role. Starting from civil society organizations to local human rights non-governmental, to national level, to international level of non-governmental human rights, like obviously famous organizations like Amnesty International or Human Rights Watch. But nowadays we see also parallel organizations that are at the government or public sector level, that they also operate at the local, national, and international level. And the articulation, the dialogue, and the collaboration with these various entities is fundamental for achieving the truth and the better recognition of human rights worldwide.